I love finishing the season in Miami. It's something that I think as an industry, all of us got so used to, right? End of the year, it's cold in other places. You fly down to Miami, it's nice and warm. We got used to what that weekend felt like under the lights, finishing the races. I always thought it was just a really cool environment, to do it in Miami. So, I look forward to going back down there racing for a championship. I like that part. I like the rotation as well, right? I like that we move it around. That was one of the things that I always thought would be a great idea, if we were able to pull it off, right? The Super Bowl doesn't stay in the same place every year. Why should our Super Bowl, our championship race, stay in the same place every year? So it gives our fans a great opportunity to see the race, right? I know a lot of fans travel to the championship race already, but there's also a lot of fans that are local that'll they'll get to have the opportunity to be able to make a weekend out of it with a short drive, hopefully.
Joey, we often hear that some drivers' opinions could be shaped by what's in their own best interest. So how come you're not out there going, wait, no, Phoenix is the best thing ever. Don't never move it from Phoenix based on how good Team Penske's been there.
I mean, on one hand, I like to think that we can win anywhere, right? We've won in Miami before. Why can't we win there again? So I feel good about that. Is there probably some drivers that are happier than others? Well, yeah, I can think of two or three that are pretty good in Miami that are probably really excited about today. But I like to think that, when you're in the championship mode, there's probably no bad racetrack for you. You probably can figure it out no matter where you're at. And as a team, I feel like Team Penske's strong that we can go to many places and compete. So yeah, as great as Phoenix has been, and it definitely has been, I still feel like we can win anywhere.
Hey, Joey, thanks for the time. We talk about moving the championship race, but I guess with, the playoff committee kind of still deciding what that looks like, have you had an opportunity to kind of read the tea leaves or get an idea for what direction NASCAR might most likely decide to go next year?
I don't think there's a quite clear direction on where things are going. You're talking to a guy that thinks we have a great system. So I would make minimal changes, if any. Um, and then there's different opinions, right? And all of us are, uh, all of us will have different ones, probably depending on where you're sitting. But I try to look at it as a race fan and say, boy, what do I think is the most entertaining when I'm watching the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series? As that's what I am, a pure race fan watching. What brings the most drama, but also the most like do or die moments, right? As a fan of sports in general, I love watching people with their back up against the wall have to perform or you're going home, right? Like I love that. That's what I love about the playoffs. And so our format does that, right? It gives everybody in the playoffs an opportunity to go out there and show up when it matters the most. It also gives the opportunity for teams to create a huge advantage going into the playoffs with the playoff points, that's there. So I, I don't know. I no one wants to hear my opinion on it because we've been successful with this, but I do feel like it's pretty fun to watch as well.
And then one kind of oddball question for you too. Um, you're very good at doing, activation, hospitality, media requests. Have you been incentivized this year by the driver ambassador program? And do you sense a bit of competition amongst you and your peers to kind of step up what you do on that front?
Yeah, I mean, yes, to answer your question. I mean, I've always done all the things before, and I always did it because I care about the sport. Right? I want the sport to live on past my career, because that's what the previous generation did for me, and the previous generation did for them, is they built this amazing platform. We need to continue to do that, right? And I realize I cannot do that on my own, and I also think that no one should work for free. I don't think that's the case either, right? I mean, anytime that you do something, you're taking away from something else. And, I think being able to be, incentivized to do things and is not a bad thing. And I think we've seen that throughout the whole sport with the drivers right now. They're doing stuff, right? They're out there, right? Whether it's autographs at the souvenir haulers or it's doing media engagements, it's traveling to do things that like would never happen before. And so there's a reason to go do it now. And not that there wasn't before, but there's extra reason to go do it. And it seems to be working for sure.
Thank you, Joey, for joining us. Two questions here. If Joey Logano was able to make the next three or four final races as the schedule, what would they be? And I have to ask this caveat. I work in the Myrtle Beach, Florence area, so Darlington, obviously a big spotlight here in our area. So would Darlington be on that list? And then second question after you finish the first.
Yeah, well, I think one thing everybody thinks about is weather, right? And South Carolina's can be fine. Um, so that track would be in the mix. Naturally, you're going to look at the tracks you're good at, right? Yeah, look at Richmond, right? Like that's one that would stand out to me. But I think Vegas would probably be in the loop. Texas is obviously possible, depending on the weather there is pretty good. I wouldn't want to add into the rotation of a super speedway. We should not end the season on a super speedway. We should not end the season on a road course either. That's my opinion because when you get down to the nitty-gritty of the playoffs and especially if it's coming down to one race like it is right now, you don't want to you don't want an oddball race. You want it the grassroots of what our sport is built off of, which is ovals. Right? Whether it's a short track or a mile and a half, that's what our roots really are. That is what built our sport. And so, throwing in a road course or any other oddball type race track, super speedway, it's too much by chance and it wouldn't be ideal, I don't believe, for our sport.
A second question for you is you've made so many accolades in this sport, but one thing that has kind of not made it your way yet, which we are coming up on the Coca-Cola 600. Talk about what a victory there would be like, and just what that race entitles with it being the longest race of the season.
Yeah, when you brought it up, there's two of them that really stand out to me. One being Indy, and the other one being the Coke 600. I'd like to win both of them. Both of them are crown jewel events. The Coca-Cola 600 is special because of what it is. It's also special because I've been a Coca-Cola racing family member for my whole career, from day one 16 whatever years ago it was. So it's been a long time that it'd be really cool to click off that win on top of what that weekend already means, right? Memorial Day weekend, which is to me means way more than what the race is. But it'd definitely be neat to celebrate in Victory Lane there.
So, Joey, I want to talk about the drama that you mentioned. Everyone loves drama. It's the part of what makes NASCAR great. I was curious, when you have it going to different tracks for rotation for the championship, does that ramp up the drama level, knowing that you automatically can't pencil in, Penske at Phoenix or Reddick or Larson at Homestead?
I mean, I don't think anyone can like pencil anyone in no matter what. But I think we've seen in our sport that change is good when it comes to schedules. Uh, and even changing the rules. It's usually good, makes better racing. I think that, people they like the unknown. They're not exactly sure where things are going to play out. And, whether that's moving to new racetracks we've never been to, we've seen that be very successful. And I think moving the final race around, it's not a bad idea.
Joey, so many drivers over the years have remarked how much they have enjoyed Homestead Miami Speedway, specifically either as a regular season race or a playoff slash championship race. Between the layout of the track itself, the weather, and how that changes from the afternoon to the night, or just the general location, what would you say is the primary reason that so many drivers are basically in love with Homestead Miami Speedway?
I mean, if you're asking drivers, it's about the track, right? Like the environment obviously is really cool. It's different, right? Being in Miami, like that's a neat thing. But the drivers, what we care about is the racing, right? Can we move around the racetrack? Can we do different things? Are the tires falling off? Is that fun, right? And to us, yeah, that's fun, right? Like having a slick track that's, you know, tough, challenging. There's, a couple bumps there. You're running up next to the wall. You also can run a little bit off the wall. You can do just there's options. You can do stuff. That is something that is special, right? And not to mention, moving this championship race around, what it does for our sport and the racetrack and the facilities, right? Look what happened to Phoenix when they got their championship race. They redid the whole place. Looks beautiful, right? And it brought a lot of new eyes to that racetrack. Same thing will probably happen in Miami, right? I'm sure they're going to look at ways to make the experience even better. And if it moves around from there, wherever it goes, I think it'll have the same effect. So there's a lot of great things that happen with this.
And it was also announced that facility upgrades are coming to Homestead Miami Speedway ahead of the upcoming championship race. Between the garages, the rest of the infield, or even the state of the asphalt itself, especially considering that you and the rest of NASCAR were just there not that long ago, what is the one aspect of Homestead Miami Speedway that you would like to see upgraded ahead of the championship race?
Oh man. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. It's different for a driver sometimes to be commenting on that because I don't get the full fan experience. You know what I mean? Like I'm not out there watching the race as a fan. I'm in the car, right? So I'm not showing up with my family looking for parking. I'm not, okay, maybe that's an issue. I don't know if it is or not, right? Like, I don't know what it's like getting tickets, what it's like trying to find your seats, what it's like trying to get good food. I don't see all that. What's the garage experience like? I can't comment on it because it's just different for me being inside the car or inside the sport.
Is there a track that absolutely positively needs renovations before they're awarded a championship race?
Couple of them, a couple, yeah, but the majority have kept up with the times. Not all of them, but a few of them have.
Would Texas be one of them?
Um, I mean, Texas is one of the biggest facilities we go to, right? I mean, there's a ridiculous amount of people there, and they had a good crowd this week. And they got the suites, the condos, they got the stuff. You know, if you've been there, but they got a lot of stuff there.
But when it comes to the racing surface itself, would that be something that needs maybe an upgraded track reconfig again?
I think it's starting to come into its own. It's getting better. And we've seen that. So, if you're going to go out there and start lobbying for a track reconfiguration, know that you're investing not only money, but you're investing years before it's going to be a good race, right? Repaves don't typically do it. Every now and again, they do it right, and I don't even know what they do to do it right because it doesn't seem to be the same everywhere. But the investment of time into the resurface and the reconfiguration of Texas for it to be where it is now took, I don't know how many years since they paved it. And now at least it's like there's some decent racing, right? I mean, I watched all three races this weekend. It's fine. Like I think there's racing, there's passing, there's other tracks that are worse. In my opinion, I think it's not that bad.
Joey, at the beginning, you said that the industry in this sport is changing. How do you feel it's going to be a team structure to the end of the year when you are retiring the tracks and you're going to Las Vegas and then you're going to Miami and then another track? How do you feel that's going to be?
I mean, I think like I said earlier, I think it's just going to be a good thing for the sport, right? I mean, I think for the fans, it's good. And for us, we'll have to figure it out, right? As race teams, we'll figure out how to do it. The schedule is always changing and evolving. And, the point earlier someone brought up, right? What's the playoffs look like in 2 years or next year? We're not even 100% sure yet. So it's hard to, say exactly what things are going to look like, but we know at least the final race will be in Miami next year. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.